Good morning. 2 weeks ago, Friday, we had a Shabbat dinner, and it was a very good dinner, great dinner, good food. We had brisket, we had hamburgers, and when I went up to the front to get my food, I saw. Can't hear me? Better? Okay. I saw that there was a tray with cheeseburgers. So I knew that couldn't be possible, but I asked the server anyway, and he said, what is this? He says, cheeseburgers. Is that real meat? Yeah, it's real meat, and you put a slice of American cheese on it, and it's a cheeseburger. I said, okay. I knew better, but it wasn't the place to educate him, right? So I went back to my table, I asked Bevel, he said, no, the meat is real, the cheese is fake. It's one of those plant-based cheeses that. Anyway, yeah, they don't taste very good, but anyway, it was there, but it looked like a real cheeseburger. Now, we go back maybe 2,100 years ago to Rome. When Julius Caesar was the ruler, he had, one of his wives was Pompeia, and at the time there was a rumor was started that Pompeia was having an affair with somebody in some situation. Anyway, people said that she was having an affair, and they told Julius Caesar, and he said, I don't believe it. I'm sure that she's a trustworthy woman, but he divorced her anyway, because he said, and that's, I think it's becoming a famous saying, the wife of Caesar not only has to be honest, she has to look honest. And we go back a few hundred years further back to the Torah, to today's Parashat, where chapter 16, verse 21, it says, you shall not plant a tree or put up a wooden post next to the altar. Now, what's the link between these three events is what the Talmud calls Marit Ayin. Marit Ayin means what the eye can see, or what it shows, what appears to be the reality, what the eye see. And the idea is that essentially means an appearance. So it appeared to be a real cheeseburger. She appeared to be having an affair, and the reason for not having a tree next to the altar, because if somebody comes to pray at the altar, it may seem to onlookers that the person is praying to the tree, which was a Canaanite idol. And that principle was picked up by the rabbis, and in the Talmud there are several examples of what people shouldn't do, because it's not illegal, but it may seem legal or illegal according to Jewish law, of course. For instance, the Torah says, if you see some coins on the floor at the foot of an idol, you shouldn't bend down to pick them up, because it may seem that you're bowing down to the idol. And also the Talmud says gives another example. If on Shabbat, if your clothes get wet, you cannot put them out or hang them up or put them on the sun to dry them. That's not illegal, but it may seem that you did the laundry on Shabbat, and that will be illegal. Now, it seems like splitting hairs. Well, that Talmud does that a lot, but there are some legal implications to that. It's not just that, what are people going to say? It's not just that. But if idolatry, for instance, carries the death penalty. So that's one thing. So if they see somebody praying to an idol, the Jew praying to an idol, that carries the death penalty. And the other is that if somebody sees somebody eating, for instance, a cheeseburger, a person that, let's say, an Orthodox rabbi eating a cheeseburger, which is not really said, if he eats a cheeseburger, I can do it too. So, and that can spread, and again, violate the law and commit a sin. Now, the issue of kashrut in that case has been pretty much solved. It's not a hard and fast rule anymore because in our days there are so many fake dairy products, right? Not just the cheese, but for instance the creamer, no? And the Talmud also says, speaking about the creamer, if you cook meat in almond milk, they used to do that apparently, then put a few almonds next to the plate to show that it was almond milk and not real milk. And what is done now is you put the container, for instance, next to the creamer, the container, the carton or the bottle of, what's it called? A mocha mix or one of those things to show the people that it's not real milk. And in the case of the cheeseburger, maybe should have the wrapper or the package of the cheese to indicate that it's not. But it's not necessary now because it's so common. People know about that. So, but anyway, so that's the rule. Now, this, I don't know if you call it a negative part of, well, that's the legal part of the marit ayin, of the appearances. But appearances also have saved lives. And then we can go to the time of the Inquisition in Spain, when you had the conversos, the Jews that were converted by force to Christianity, and they had to be Christian by the way, for the neighbors, right? But in private, in their house, in their homes, they still observe some Jewish customs. And they had to be, first of all, and the Inquisition went after them. The Inquisition didn't go after the Jews, it went after the Jews that had converted to make sure that they weren't observing Judaism in private. So they took Christian names, many times names of saints. They attended Mass. They gave money to Christian charities. They made sure that people saw them eating pork. They worked on Shabbat. That was the appearance, to appear to their neighbors that they were Christians. Sometimes, and I just read that, which is in a way it's funny, they overdid it. They gave too much money to charities, they prayed too much, so the neighbors became suspicious. It's too much, it cannot be real. And then if we go to more or less our age, that appearance saved lives in Europe during the war. Some Jews looked like their neighbors, like Poles or like Germans. I know one case, I'm sure there are many, thousands of cases people know, that this young girl, she was Polish, but she was blonde, blue eyes, and she spoke German, and that saved her. So that's the issue of, that's what we can take off from the commandment of not planting a tree next to an altar. And next time we have cheeseburgers here in Tamid, you can eat them with confidence. Shabbat Shalom.